There's nothing in the world like UEFA Champions League football and the home of champions presenting quarter-final action, second leg action, and two big teams in Europe, Chelsea and Bayern Munich, having their backs against the wall this afternoon as they try to reverse first leg losses. Villareal will be taking a 1-0 lead to Bayern Munich. George Davis with me here. George, it's going to be very important for these teams to come with their A game today, because today it's either perform or go home.
Yeah, the thing is that Real Madrid hold the upper hand against Chelsea, but that's only the upper hand. Crucially for the London team, they did get a goal from the first leg. Of course, we know away goals count for nothing in this iteration of the Champions League, but there is at least a rung on a ladder to step on for Chelsea. From Bayern Munich's perspective, they'll be very grateful, Lance, that it's only 1-0, the deficit to Villareal. The Spanish side had several chances to make the job of the Bavarians much more difficult, but there is every chance that Bayern will be confident. Well, there is every chance that Bayern will go through, because they'll be confident that a 1-0 lead is nothing to overcome on the road to the semi-final.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the Real Madrid fixture against Chelsea in a moment, but Bayern Munich, they have such a rich history at home, George, that a lot of fans of Bayern Munich are not thinking that this 1-0 deficit that they're facing against Villareal is an overbearing one. And Villareal, though, cannot be underestimated here. They're knocked Juventus out of the Champions League, a big team out of Italy, and the Germans are their next target.
Yeah, the point is, though, and what you say is true, of course, but if you count from the 2014-15 season forward to this point, every time Bayern Munich have been knocked out at this stage of the Champions League, it's been by a Spanish team. So the Spanish have a very good record against the Bavarians in this segment of the competition. What is true in Bayern's favor is that the first leg was the only game this season that they failed to score in any competition. The thing is this, at home, there are 2 goals or more certainties to register in the game, and so I say all that to say that the omens point to Bayern Munich scoring at least once in the game. They are likely to score twice, and so that is why what I said in my opening salvo, that Villareal will probably rule not scoring more than 1 goal in Spain, because Bayern have the wherewithal to hit back multiple times, and if that happens, the Bavarians progress.
Yeah, Villareal against Bayern Munich at the top of the hour, but the home of champions fixture will be Real Madrid, and they'll be battling Chelsea. Yeah, so Bayern Munich at home here with a 1-0 deficit to recover from. But George Davis, the record of Bayern Munich at home, very, very impressive. They score multiple goals at home. I think they've scored almost 20 goals so far at home in the UEFA Champions League this term. So many would consider a 1-0 deficit for them not a task that is beyond them.
Yeah, but guess what? There have been instances over the course of the season where Bayern have not looked smooth and efficient. That smooth, efficient German machine that we are used to seeing, there have been more than one instance in all competitions that they've played where that has not been on display. There have been particular vulnerabilities in league play, and then there were particular vulnerabilities in the Champions League as well. Don't forget how they got past Salzburg after the first leg struggle that they had, and then they won in the second leg, won 7-1, but because Salzburg made so many mistakes that they capitalized on. Look, in Spain, Villareal had 1 shot on target. That was the goal that Danjuma turned home. Bayern had 20-odd attempts, but how many were there on target? Not many, yeah? So it shows that there is an inefficiency in the German forward line that Julian Nagelsmann lands must address if the team is to progress. There is confidence there. They are European superpowers. They are many people's favorites for the competition, notwithstanding their frailties. but I'm not certain. And it is very curious for me or any pundit at this stage of the competition to not have certainty where Bayern's chance of progressing is concerned.
Yeah, the Yellow Submarines will also look at the domestic performance of Bayern Munich this past weekend. You spoke just now about Salzburg, George, a team that rhymes with Salzburg. Augsburg were the Bayern Munich opponents on the weekend, and they only scraped a 1-0 win there. Bayern Munich did. And Augsburg is a team that's just above the drop zone in the Bundesliga at the moment, which tells you that although Bayern are Bundesliga favourites and are dominating the league really, their current form as we speak today isn't inspiring a lot of confidence for their fans.
And if I take up the point as you've laid it out, Lance, we know that Robert Lewandowski is class. However, I said it in the first leg preview last week, that at this stage of last season, Lewandowski was absent for Bayern because, of course, he picked up an injury for Poland on international duties. He did pick up another injury for Poland in this international cycle before the first leg, albeit the injury wasn't as severe as last season to keep him out of the tie. He did play, but he wasn't at his fluent best. I'm not sure that Lewandowski has fully shaken off that injury and is back to his efficient self. That's one thing. But when you look at it, rather inconveniently for Bayern, Lance, I'm going to call some names. Serge Gnabry, Kingsley Coleman, and Leroy Sané are all off color at the same time. So the creativity in the team is also an issue. And we know that Lewandowski is capable of miracles, but there comes a point when defenses are so good that even Superman will need facilitation, and he's not gotten the help from the usual suspects. And I haven't mentioned one name again, Lance. Thomas Muller is also off color. So all of the creative sparks in the Bayern Munich team who set the table for Lewandowski to do his magic find themselves in a collective rut, Lance, and that explains why Bayern up front have been a blunt instrument when you look at the totality of their Champions League performances in recent times.
Yeah, well, Unai Emery had lost his job at Arsenal because of bad results, but he's been getting good results at Villareal, and they have shown themselves to be a team not to be underestimated, because they have gotten this far in the UEFA Champions League, a quarter-final position, and a second leg that they're going into with the team in the ascendancy against a powerhouse like Bayern Munich.
Yeah, the league form, Lance, and the Champions League performance is night and day. They've only taken 1 point from the last 9 available in league play. That's 1 point, 1 draw from 3 games. So on the league front, they're not that good. But guess what? The confidence, Lance, after what they did against Juventus, that confidence is sky high, because they played the perfect game at home in the first leg to hold the Italian giants to a 1-1 draw. And then they went better than perfect in Turin for the second leg, where they scored those 3 goals. And so they approached the Bayern game feeling that, look, if we can conquer the old lady of Italian football and give her a chastening experience in her backyard, what fear are we to hold for Bayern in that first leg at the Ceramica Stadium in Spain? So I'm saying all of that to say the confidence that they will take into the second leg against Bayern Munich in Bavaria, the region of Germany where Bayern Munich is based, is going to be sky high. And it's not popcorn confidence, Lance. It's fundamental confidence, because they have the value of recent results to look back on to see what confidence can help them do.
Yeah, and the fact is that they already shut out the prolific Lewandowski in the first leg. Why can't they do it in the second leg here? And they, as you said, their confidence is high. Lewandowski looks very relaxed pre-match, so him coming into the stadium just now, he looks confident and ready for action. But I think Villarreal will take a lot from a lot of the success that they had from the first leg into this. And certainly mentally, if I were a Villarreal player, I wouldn't feel intimidated taking on Bayern Munich, given how the game went. Yes, they won 1-0, but they didn't win in a scratchy way. They won with some level of authority.
And should have scored many more goals.
Yeah, we go to break. Still a lot more to come as we continue to preview the UEFA Champions League second leg quarter-final action of Villarreal up against Bayern Munich, and top of the hour as well, Real Madrid 3-1 up on Chelsea. No team has won more UEFA Champions League titles than Real Madrid has, and they have a 3-1 lead going to the second leg of their fixture against Chelsea. And remember, Real Madrid at home for this fixture had the handsome victory in London last week. And many people consider that they will have an easy job of fending off Chelsea as the London side tries to rebound. But very, very impressive run here by Real Madrid. 8 months ago at the start of the Champions League season, not many would have bet that Real Madrid would have been strong contenders for the UEFA Champions League title, but their fans are beginning to get their belief back because Real Madrid is showing themselves month after month after month to be a pretty solid team that you can't underestimate. George Davis, the London trip for them, very, very successful. The Chelsea fans hugely disappointed that at Stamford Bridge they weren't able to not only get the result they want, but didn't display the kind of football that showed hunger and desire and a stomach for the fight. So last week's result could be very pivotal here as we look to this return game.
Yeah, and I think we need to start our analysis with the coaches, Lance, because the soundings from Thomas Tuchel at the end of that Real Madrid beatdown in the first leg, he immediately went to reverse psychology, while at the same time berating his players in public for the puerile performance that they put in at Stamford Bridge. And from the psychological perspective, he made it known that, oh, we're dead and buried, this is over, and we were so crap that we have given ourselves a mountain too high to climb. And as I said, berating the players at the same time. But make no mistake about it, the response against Southampton in the Premier League showed that the players were stung by the public nature of the criticism that they got. And they were also stung by the fact that with 3-1 on the board, their coach was willing to front up to the media and say, this tie is over. Almost as if the players took it as a collective affront that us top professionals can't overcome a 3-1 deficit. That's madness. So it is that the players went out against Southampton to prove a point. And with that Southampton victory in the bag, they have their stepping stone to launch the comeback against Real Madrid. Now, if we talk about coaches again, Carlo Ancelotti, Lance, criminally underrated as a manager. When people talk about the greatest managers in the world, they talk about
his name often gets left out.
Yes, and the Klopp and the Guardiola together, Lance, they haven't done what this man has done. And because he doesn't walk with his philosophy plastered on his forehead or in his top pocket, he gets overlooked. But there's nothing that either Klopp or Guardiola have done in world football that Ancelotti would be jealous of. Yes. But if they're honest, they'll tell you that his CV as a player and then as a manager is the stuff of legends. He's a legendary manager, and he's a large part of the reason Real are flying so high domestically and in Europe at this moment. Yeah,
you touched briefly, George, on what Thomas Tuchel, the Chelsea manager, had to say in between the fixtures and going into this fixture in Spain. And here's what Tuchel said, and study carefully his body language along with the words.
It's very unlikely that we make it. It is unlikely, but it's worth trying, and we will try. And trying means that we will play to our fullest, and we will play to the full limit, because this is what we do, and we never manage our input and investment by the chances of having a result. So this is what it is. It's a big night, and it's a big match, and we will try to be in better shape and in a better condition like in the first match.
Yeah, George, trying to look beyond the words and piercing into his eyes there and checking his body language, his facial expressions and so on. How much do you believe what he's saying?
None. And zilch, zero. The thing is, he knows the value of psychology. He's a highly educated man, Thomas Tuchel, a university graduate. So he has the scholastic side. The scholastic side of him is strong, as we can see in his football. What he's trying to do is to give the Real Madrid coaches work to do mentally on their players. He's asking a question of them. Can you ignore my summation of the match that you are already through to the semifinals? We're only turning up to honor the fixture. Can you handle me saying that and framing the match in this context and still play the kind of football necessary to actually get there? That's a challenge he's laid down to Chelsea, and at the same time, he's laid down a challenge to his players. Can you make me look like a fool by doing the right things to get us through and to prove that you are made of stern stuff and more stern stuff than I am willing to admit publicly? It's a chess game, it's a mental game as much as physical, and Tuchel is working on Real Madrid while working on getting his men's minds collectively right.
Yeah, the other thing that we've got to consider, George, is that in decades upon decades upon decades of European football, only one team before this has lost a home fixture by 2 goals and come back to win at the quarter-final stage. So history is against Chelsea here.
Yeah, absolutely right. But in every instance where history like that has been mentioned, there comes an occasion, an instance, a game where that record is broken, where history is turned on its head. In real terms, Lance, 3-1 is nothing. An early goal in the first 20 seconds sets the cat amongst the collective, the metaphorical pigeons, and everything is possible after that. Chelsea had chances at Stamford Bridge to have made this first leg result much more in their favor than the 3-1 suggests. Lukaku had 2 chances, especially in the second one. He really ought to have at least asked Thibaut Courtois to make a save. Fact is, if Chelsea can take their chances, which they will get in this game, we could be talking about a different situation at the end of 90 minutes. And who knows, we could be here for longer than 90 minutes.
Yeah, so we're just about 10 minutes to kick off, George, and the Real Madrid fans understandably will feel very, very confident going in. What would they guard against here? Because as you suggested earlier on, the 6-goal effort by Chelsea on the weekend domestically shows that the Chelsea unit is firing themselves up, and they're taking on the task manfully. What will Ancelotti's men have to brace themselves for and ensure that they stifle whatever Chelsea has to offer?
It's about controlling emotions from here. There's nothing football-wise that anybody in the world can tell these players. Look, the late great Shane Warne proved that when cricketers are at a certain standard, there's no need for a coach. What do you tell Luka Modric as a coach, Toni Kroos, Karim Benzema, that they don't know already? There's nothing anybody can tell about the football-wise. But it's more than that, as I said earlier. It's about the mental game. Carlo Ancelotti has to help this man in the shot, Vinicius Jr., be calm. Help him to make the right decisions. Vinny, when you're in this position, the team will benefit if you do this. Furland Mendy at left back. When you're in this position, the team benefits if you do this. Centre halves, don't go into the kind of tackles which will get you into yellow card trouble early and then put you under pressure in making tackles in crucial decisions, in crucial areas. Midfielders, be calm. Forget the 3-1 from the first leg. Play this game as if it's 0-0. The greatest thing that Carlo Ancelotti can do for his team, Lance, is to get them to believe that this game is at 0-0 and the result depends on what they do over the course of the 90 minutes. He does that successfully. He's a genius once again.
Yeah, and the other thing that he would have to do, George, I'm pretty certain, when he sets his team up and prepares them mentally for the fixture, is to remind them that Chelsea are the defending champions. They are playing the defending champions here.
Absolutely so, and that will be the basis, that will be the plinth on which he builds the entreaty to them about how seriously they should take these games. Because he'll look into their eyes and say, gentlemen, this is not a third division team that has stumbled onto this stage. We're talking about the defending champions, and they are defending champions for a reason. Look at their roster, look at the players that they have there. You have to be at your very best today to get by them, because the 3-1 that we registered at Stamford Bridge means nothing when the first whistle goes. It's about managing your emotions, knowing the danger that your opponents pose, treating them with respect, Lance, treating the game with respect. If we do those things, we'll be fine.
Yeah, George, quickly, before we get the lineups now, one of the things, several of the key players for Real Madrid are older than the key players for Chelsea. Do you see that as a factor going in?
Not so much, because the older players for Chelsea are playing as good as they've ever played. Benzema has never been better in his life.
Yes.
Toni Kroos has found his groove back, and like Stella in the movie, Modric has also found his groove back.
Yes.
And you say the older players, but I'm telling you, Vinicius Jr.'s play, he hasn't scored, but his threat, the danger, the menace he poses, it's also crucial in how Real have been able to unlock defenses, and Benzema has been able to capitalize because of the brilliance of Vinicius Jr.
Yeah, Benzema, Vinicius Jr., Asensio, Toni Kroos, as you just mentioned, Alaba coming in here, the 5 top scorers for for Real Madrid so far. Benzema back-to-back hat-tricks,
yes,
which we rarely see in.
Yeah, Ronaldo alone, the only man to do it in the knockout stage of the Champions League before.
So they're coming in here with a lot of confidence. I want to also make the point that Real Madrid, as we pointed out earlier on, has the know-how to win the UEFA Champions League. No team has won the UEFA Champions League more often than they have, and they will go into this assignment with that kind of confidence that this is a tournament that, as a club, they have known how to take care of. Let's look quickly at the Real Madrid lineup then, George, and then I'll just ask you if you think they can go all the way. What are your thoughts on this Real Madrid lineup?
It's the usual suspects. Yeah. Apart from Nacho, number 6, who's coming in at centre-back for the suspended Eder Militao. It's the team that did the job against Chelsea the first leg. It was the team, well, there were 5 changes made to this team, to the team that played in La Liga on the weekend. So he's keeping men fresh. Benzema came off in the 74th minute, so he also got a break as well. And look, this is the strongest lineup he has now. The strongest lineup available to him, and then look at the bench. He has wild cards he can play. He gave Bale some action. Look, Lance, if it gets desperate, expect to see the Welshman come on and try to rescue it for Real Madrid.
Okay, let's look at the Chelsea lineup, because I heard about half an hour ago that Timo Werner, George, may be in the starting roster. Is he there?
Yes, he is, because of the quality game he played against Southampton. Look, this was always going to be the way Chelsea would play. Havertz and Werner up front, with Mason Mount in the hole behind them as the number 10 trying to create for them. It's what tore Southampton apart. We know Southampton ain't Real Madrid in no way, shape or form, but it's a team that hit back hard for Chelsea and showed that there is still fire in the belly. I expected him to trust this 11. Jorginho has lost his place in the starting 11 from the first leg. So too has Pulisic. Both men were invisible in the first leg, along with Christensen, who couldn't handle Vinicius Jr. Yes. So he's brought in replacements to shore up the team. Yeah, all right, so George, what's your prediction here? I expect on the day, Real Madrid to win 2-1. Which would make it a 5-2 aggregate scoreline. Yes. So Real Madrid is the pick here to get by Chelsea. And did we get your Villareal Bayern Munich prediction? I want Villareal to win, because it would be a great story for the Champions League. Bayern's quality, you'd be a fool to bet against their quality. But if the quality doesn't come through, you'll say, I should have gone with Villareal. But it's always better to err on the side of the proven quality. I'm going to take Bayern 2-0. Yeah, coming up to kick off at the top of the hour, Villareal 1-0 ahead of Bayern Munich in Germany, and Real Madrid at home sitting on a 3-1 comfortable lead over Chelsea. That's enough. Manuel Neuer to come home from